Well, the interim report includes a chapter on retirement incomes, and that chapter contains a number of paradoxes. The inquiry seems to be in favour of longevity protected income products, and it makes outlines a number of policy options in relation to that. It asks whether those products should be supported by incentives, or whether they should be the default position at retirement or be made compulsory. The first paradox is that the inquiry recognises that if you make a big change to the retirement income system, you need to also examine the policy settings in the tax and transfer system, but then goes on to say that it's not going to do that work. So it's a little odd that the inquiry is canvassing what could be some very significant changes to the system, but not doing the work that it identifies as being necessary. The second paradox is that the inquiry said that it's not prepared to look at the preservation age at which retirement benefits can be accessed. And again, if you're considering recommending that lifetime annuities become compulsory, it seems a bit cute to then say you're not going to look at the preservation age. The third paradox really relates to the attitude towards longevity risk, because on the one hand the inquiry says that longevity risk, that is the risk of living longer than your retirement savings, can never be eliminated. It can only be transferred between an individual, the government, a life company or a retirement fund. And so it makes that observation, but then it really does just focus on longevity protected income products, which is really just looking at insurers and possibly superannuation funds. So there's no broader discussion about how that risk might best be shared by those various stakeholders. The fourth paradox relates to the fact that these products only work if people retire with enough money, and it acknowledges that the report acknowledges that that many people won't retire with enough money to make these products worthwhile. And so the inquiry has a very narrow focus, but that focus is only going to be relevant to a very small proportion of the population. The final paradox is that the inquiry acknowledges the need for stability in the superannuation policy settings, because without that stability there's a lack of confidence and people won't participate in the system. But yet the policy options that are being recommended, the work that's been done to support that seems to be quite narrow and shallow, and that then generates the concern that any changes that are made based on the recommendations may not stand the test of time, and that would then undermine stability and confidence in the system. So, without wanting to be too negative, there are some issues with that section of the report, and we'll have to wait and see what the inquiry does between now and November and what they say in the final report.